Welcome everybody, Steve here. Well, we're continuing on with the 69 Bronco, and I got a little bit more body work to do, but kind of the next step is going to be welding like a panel like this on, and it goes right in here, just like that. Now, Kevin purchased this panel, didn't make this, would be quite an easy one to make, but there's another piece of metal that comes down here like this. It's kind of stepped. You know, when they built this is nice and straight. I'm gonna have to modify it, just make a little step in here so that it fits, you know, nice and tight up against there. And when we get that done, you know, we gotta look at these. Make sure these are right. And they're not always right. This one here is not too bad. It's got a little bit of modifying that we have to do, because if you put a straight edge up against here, you can see that it's not really that straight. Well, you can't see that, just take my word for it. But some of this is just going to have to get cut with the zip cut, pounded in a little bit, and so that we can make this nice and straight so that our tailgate's going to work. This side's not as bad as the other side, but we'll get that all figured out as well. Now, I know what you're thinking. You're going like, okay, you're doing all the body work, you know, why not weld everything up? Well, this back panel back in here, this is so easy. I'm sitting on the tire right now, I can do all the sanding, and it's really easy. You can imagine what it's like if you had the quarter panel in here. You know, you're reaching up, you're trying to get all these little spots. It's a bit of a pain. Now, when I weld this on, of course, there's a good chance that it may blister up a little bit of the filler. Well, that's easy. Just touch it with a grinder, a little bit more filler, it's done. So I would rather do the body work when it's easily accessible, and then just repair the odd spot where the welder may have blistered up, you know, the filler. And, you know, I've done that in the past, and it's worked just fine and dandy. So anyway, we'll continue on. We've got a little bit more sanding to do, then I'm going to modify this panel. There's a couple low spots, so I'm just skimmed the whole thing. Sometimes that's just a lot easier. And I'm just going to give it a light file. When you file it, you can see, you know, if you got a low spot or not. So far, so good. It's time to address this piece here. And it's going to fit pretty good. But you can see here that I've got this chunk of steel here, metal, coming down, so it needs to be stepped. So we can handle that. And of course, you know, this is all going to get caulked in here, so, you know, could I leave that? No. It would leave your caulking a little bit out. So I'm going to go just about a 1/16 of an inch past where the steel is, make that cut, and then I'll just step it in. Should be pretty easy. Yeah, I think if we just run a grinder right along here and then just pounded it in, I think it's going to work out great. Okay, so I'm going to weld this up and make sure that I get the inside too, so that I can, you know, grind a nice radius in it. And then wherever they did a bend, I want to weld up. You just have to weld the top up. That way, you know, you're never going to see that little tiny gap. It's a possibility. So we'll weld them up, and it'll keep things from cracking in the future as well. Well, eventually we're going to paint this. This is the underneath. So prep it. And same with this. I'm going to sand this as well. And then basically, I shouldn't have to do any body work to it. Should be pretty good. Maybe a little bit of filler there, but other than that, I think that we'll just give her a quick little sand. If it ain't sanded, it ain't sticking. So this piece here now, it fits really, really nice. But down along here, I've got a pretty good bump there. So I'm going to take the grinder and grind this and bring it down. You could sit there and hammer it on all day, but it's hard to get a dolly in there. And I think it's going to be a little easier if I just take the grinder. Yeah. Then we got to drill some holes in here as well, so that we can plug weld that. And one way you can do it, I'll show you what I'm going to do. Just got to find my oh, there it is. So instead of, you know, drilling a hole in here, what I'll do is just cut a V, and I'll weld it right there. Know what I mean? One more time. That looks good. Getting ready to tack this in. Got my little V's cut. Got some copper primer on there. Now this is a little higher than the rest. It's just, you know, they're never perfect, and of course, you know, with the rollover could be just a little bit out. We're talking about a little tiny bit, but that little tiny bit will make a difference with this panel here. So what I'm gonna do, just got some wood on there, so we can avoid this guy. gonna have to, oh, that's gonna work fine. Got her where I want it. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna put a tack right there. That way, you know, if I have to cut this out for some reason, I'll weld it all together when we get everything done. But if I just tack it right there, I know I can get at it with the grinder. So, stack her. Make sure you put a pretty good tack on there. You don't want to break it off on you. So we're going to start the body work right there. Got this side already done. Well, no body work, but it's welded in. And you know, it looks really good. Kind of wished everything was all brand new tin. Oh, well, shiny. That's why it's so nice. Okay, so I'm going to do a little grinding. And then we can start throwing down some filler and heading towards the cab. So as soon as you start doing a little grinding, now this has all been sandblasted here, so you don't really even have to grind it, but when you grind it you find any low spots. And I got one right there, so I'm going to have to weld a nut on it, or weld a bolt onto it, yank her out. A little too deep to be filling, but they pull easy, but you got to do it this way. Even though it's been sandblasted, I'm going to take the Dumore and make sure that I hit the pits. Filler time. Now this panel, as mentioned before, has been replaced from the corner, I don't know, maybe right here, all the way across that way. So I'm going to fill this one up, and then I'm just going to get a start on these guys. You don't want to go too far ahead of yourself, because man, I tell you, doing the box, yeah, that's going to stretch your patience there, let me tell you. It's a lot of work. But if you haven't got the money to go out and buy a brand new one, it's not that difficult in a sense that, you know, it's going to affect your life or anything like that. It's not that bad. It's just tougher than normal. Let's put it that way. Hoping we don't get too many pinholes. I think what I'm going to do is, you know, like I said before, if you follow me, if you keep up with the pinholes, it's not so bad. When you're trying, you know, when you do one coat, like right in here, I got some set pinholes. Yep, a couple pinholes over here. So I'll look after those when I feel like I'm in the pinhole mood. Okay, so now doing the bed, better make sure that we're in, yep. What I always do, start in the middle, or down the bottom. Rid of that. I lost my, I had a little plastic spreader and I lost it. Don't know where it ended up. I'm going to use this little guy here. Now what I did was I cut it so that it would, you know, kind of match the angle there when I was doing the 72. Yeah, it doesn't really work. Because as soon as you do this, it changes the angle. It's okay, but I was hoping for more. Now the reason I'm just doing the bottom, it is really difficult to do everything at the same time. And it's more work. You know how we like to avoid that. Let's give her a light file. Now you could just sand this, but man, I tell you, that's a lot of work. Now this file here, I've got it ground down on the edge so I can get in there nice and easy. Oh, no, I'm okay, losing it. That's right. Now it just so happens that little sander that I built just fits perfectly in here. That is a happy little accident. Just gonna give her a bit of a light stroke with some 40 grit first. And we'll finish her off with some 80. Could go like that, I guess. I'm gonna start throwing a little filler on the tops here now. Now, I guess piece of advice when you're working on this stuff, don't mix up too much body filler because it takes a lot of time just to spread it out. It's not like it's a big panel. You gotta work as fast as you can. Now, it's fairly cool in my shop right now, so it's not that big of a deal. But man, you know, you work in some of these hot areas, I could just imagine what body work is like. That'd be tough because your fillers are drying so fast. Saying that, there's a lot of guys out there that are really into that combat body work where you want it dry as fast as you can or set up as fast as you can. I remember years ago I watched this one guy and he'd put the filler on and then use a torch to heat it, just to set it up. And I'm like, man, you know, like when I put this filler on, I've got a little sanding to do on the odd little spot here and there. And I don't know if I'd really want my life that complicated where I'd have to, you know, hammer the body work out that fast. Not into that. I'm slow enough as it is. So I gotta get into this tight spot here. Remember, use every secret that you know. And I'm using my oscillating sander with my little pad that I built there. Just got some 80 grit on it. And that works like magic. Now, use something like this, and you want something really straight. It's not going to get it really nice and straight. But when it comes to this, you don't have to worry. Let's see what it does over here. Easier than using your finger. So right along here, this is where we did our rust repair, because right underneath there is the brace. And if you're from anywhere in Canada, or a lot of the states too, you know, like the dirt gets built up in there. It's a really poor design, but if you did the maintenance, you know, like if you have a truck like this, just let me look before I start yapping here. This one's closed off on the end, but you could drill a hole, and if you took a blower every year, just all you have to do is once a year, blow out all of your supports, your wheel wells, your truck will never rust. And you know, I say that to a lot of people, and do I do it to my own? Not very often. But if you really care, yeah, just a little maintenance and it'll never rust. But anyway, little brother, he's done all the welding and everything like that. And there's a couple pinholes. They don't go through, but I'm going to show you what I do to fill those up. First of all, I'm going to grind this all up, and then we'll go to the next step. So my brother is not as good with doing pinholes than I am, and it's been painted underneath here, so I can't go in there and weld them. And if you've ever welded a pinhole, you know how tough that is. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to use some JB weld. Now this is the putty stick, you know, and you have to knead it together. But first of all, you got to clean them up, so I'm just going to use my Do-More, or you can use a drill bit, and just dish it a little bit so you've got somewhere for the JB to go. It's just like using a really good filler, but this stuff is tough and it sticks really, really well. I could just throw some filler over top, but if that pinhole is just, you know, micro thin and it rusts through, it's going to bubble. So at least you buy yourself a lot more time if you use something a little bit better. Now of course, you know, you can lead them, weld them, but this is the option I'm going to try, and I'm going to see how it works, because it's going to save a lot of time. But first of all, we got to find the pinholes, dish them out a little bit, and make sure you mark them, because you know, I just ground this, so it's pretty hard to even see where they are. There's one, a bunch of them. Ugh. this thing an unwrap here. Now don't be just tearing off a chunk. Use a nice knife. Cut off a little piece. I made sure that this was fairly warm. Like room temperature, at least. And I'm using gloves. You don't want oils in your hands to, you know, get in the way of any chemical reaction that needs to happen. You just knead this stuff up. So she's a good consistent color. Okay, so I had a little tighter gloves. And this stuff in the stick seems to set up a lot quicker, which is good. The stuff in the tubes takes quite a long time. Okay. Now, just working in with your finger. Was going to use a putty knife, but I don't think that that's going to work as good. I'm probably going to let this set up, and then I'll use a grinder on it or something. Not sure yet. Now this, oh, just check this out. I don't know if you can see that. It's only been about a half an hour and it's already set up. So I'm really quite amazed at how fast this stuff is setting up, which is good because, you know, time is money. But, and you know what, this would work really good too if you have, you know, some serious rust pits or something like that. Instead of filling them up with weld and, you know, you just, if the rust pit is clean, it's not going to rust anymore. So this would be a good solution. I know we use that fiber fill, you know, on some of the welds and things like that, and that helps. But I think that this might actually be a better solution. I don't know. Comment. There's going to be somebody else out there doing the same thing that I'm doing. Now this may have been about 45 minutes. That's fast. See how it sands. It sands, but it's not that much fun. We'll use the grinder. Well, now we can just continue on with the filling. I'm really happy the way that the pinholes are working out. I think that that method's going to work out just fine and dandy. Which is good, because that's a big time saver. When you're doing a big job like this, and it would take me probably a few hours to fill those in to make them work out so that they're all perfect. And if you are welding up a pinhole, it's kind of nice if you just take and just open it up a little bit. Either use a drill or the do-more, whatever you want to do. Just open it up a little bit. Why do pinholes happen? I don't know. A lot of it is just, your metal isn't perfectly clean. Maybe you haven't got your gas up high enough on your MIG welder. Not sure. Not sure. So I let this set up a little bit, still a little bit soft. It's going to make it a little bit easier to sand. And I just put some filler in over here. So you got to you're sanding over here, let your filler set up over there, and then you can file it, kind of keep going. These beds here, if you think you're going to do this in an afternoon, like, you're way off. It's not going to work unless you can spray Bondo through a spray gun. But you got to sand it too. This is a pretty big job. But if you turn the mind off, it helps a lot. So far this box turned out pretty good. Like, if this was a truck, we'd have to probably put a lot more work into it, like I did on that 72. But people don't throw engine blocks and stuff in the back of a Bronco. Well, my brother would. Just finishing up. It's looking good. Now we gotta get some primer on there. I'm just finishing up on the last little rib here. A little bit to do down in here yet, but I'll get to that one. Okay, close to being done. Now, we just got some edges to sand here, but I am very, very happy the way that this is turning out. Like, it looks good, but I tell you what, there's a lot of work involved here, and it feels really good to be done. So now I can move on. So as I'm working, I'm kind of looking and try and plan out the next move. So what I think I'm going to do is I think I'm going to prep these on either side, and then I think I'm going to prime this. Just simply because, we're going to be working quite a while here on fitting panels up. I know I've got a lot of work to do in the front here, but that's okay. I don't want to leave this, and because I have a lot of metal exposed and this and that, I don't want to ever have any flashing. So I think what I'm going to do is prime it, and we'll get on that here in the next day. It's looking good though. I think the biggest thing to a project is getting started. And, you know, with the bodywork here, this, you know, this out of your mind is, that's just a great victory, that one. But, we will, I think next day, I'll get some, maybe I won't prime next day. Get these done. I want to pull the window off, because little brother wants to work on that. And then I'm going to start working on the corner pieces, getting those all fit, all nice and tidy. I want to get those on, well, not permanently on, but get them fitting better before I prime it, so I don't scratch up everything that I do. But yeah, I got a plan, and just got to make it happen. So that'll be it for this video, and we'll catch up to you on the next one. Thanks for watching.